And it most definitely is Country Nights, the Irish country connection here on CMR with me, Sean Green. And it's just turned 10:30, and it's about time that I welcome my very special guest on the programme for this particular Monday night. That's Gene Stuart. Hello, Gene.
How are you, Sean?
How are you?
I'm fine. We meet at last.
We meet at last, yes. I'll tell the people, for those that weren't listening in last week, we were due to have Gene last week, but of course he was away recording a video, so we didn't want to interrupt him. So that was what happened last week. So we put the thing very kindly back to this week, and Gene agreed to still hang around and do it. So thanks a million for that, Gene.
You're very welcome, Sean.
So now let's get into this, which is going to be a really interesting, because I'm looking forward to this, because, I mean, like, you've been with the Homesteaders, you've been with the Mighty Avens and stuff. Take us right back to the very beginning of how you actually got into the music and all the bands and stuff like that, because this is good, folks. I tell you, wrap your ears around this. You're going to have a ball. Go on.
Well, you make me feel very old for starters, Sean.
Well, you know that. Listen, I'm not old, and I can remember all the bands that you were with, and, I mean, like, the thing is, you still, I mean, I can say it, and I mean, I know Brian Chalker, who was on the show before me, even said it. You've got probably one of the best voices in country music today, anyway. So,
well, thanks very much.
So
well, get back to, I was always a fan of Larry in the early days. Anyway, my wife or my girlfriend, then we always danced to Larry and the Mighty Avens in the old days, and probably because that Larry was a great Jim Reeves man, and I suppose was weaned and grew up on the days of Jim Reeves. And it's a complicated sort of a story, but a local girl here beside me bought a new Grundig tape recorder. You know, the old reel-to-reel ones.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And she wanted me to come up with a guitar player and sing a few songs. So, as luck would have it, I sang about a half a dozen or 8 Larry Cunningham songs on the tape recorder. About 6 months after that, Larry decided to leave the Mighty Avens and go for whatever reason he wanted to go, or do his own thing. And they were looking for a new country singer. Now, this girl's uncle, it's complicated even to me. This girl's uncle, I bet I mentioned his name, Liam Downey from Mahonaply here. He managed a band called the Venture Show Band. I'm sure you heard of them.
They were around years ago.
From Monaghan, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And they in turn were owned by Ronnie Griffiths, the piano player with the Mighty Avens.
Right.
So hence the link. And they were looking for a new singer, and one thing led to another, and they said, you should have a listen to this guy called Gene Stewart. My name is Eugene Stewart, actually.
Right.
So they shortened it later on to Gene. But they had a listen to me, and I had an audition, had 2 or 3 auditions, and I got the job with Mighty Avens. So that was the turning point in my life, Sean.
And did you find it a big change to your life, suddenly fronting a band like that had the pedigree of the sort of like the Mighty Avens?
Well, it certainly was from 2 different points. I mean, I was working 6 nights a week. I was in a professional band, and the fact that I was in the band that I had, worshipped over the years with Larry and all that, and I was there standing in the shoes of Larry, it was a big... But I'd imagine it took about 6 months or a year to it finally hit me that here I was, sort of the front singer with the Mighty Avens show band.
Yeah, because, I mean, I know from actually being on this side of the Irish Sea as opposed to that side, that, I mean, like, the people over here took to you very easily, didn't they?
Well, the Mighty Avens, I don't take all the credit, Sean. The Mighty Avens were a very much established band. I mean, they were part of the big thing over here, as you know, for years and years and years. The Mighty Avens and the Clifford Carlton, Melody Aces, and Big Tom, the mainliners. I mean, they were in the top bracket of bands. And, I mean, they must get a lot of the credit. They're very intelligent guys and very good businessmen, and they sort of knew how to dress me up and sell me, as it was, and pick the right records for me to record and things like that. And I suppose they kind of pointed their finger and I did the rest. Yeah,
because of course I'll tell a few people that with the Mighty Avens, that they were around back in the days when the Irish show bands used to always wear the suits and that, didn't they?
That's right, yeah, and stand up and jig from side
to side. That's right,
the Mighty Avens, he started off originally as a Ceilidh band, and they used to do sort of 4 or 5 hours a night, and the first part of the show was as a Ceilidh band, and then go back into the band room and change into these suits you talk about, and come back out as a show band.
Yeah, because of course, how many was in the actual Mighty Avens?
There's a lot of brass in the band.
Yeah.
3 or 4 pieces of brass and your lead guitar and all the other things. An 8-piece band. Of course, all the show bands those days had 7 or 8 or 9 members in the bands.
That's what I was going to say, because I mean nowadays, if you see a band with 4 members, you think it's a big band. Never mind.
Well, that's
back in those days.
That's the way things have changed, I suppose. Unfortunately, I mean, those days you had 400 or 500 show bands running around the country and all doing good business, and things have changed somewhat.
Right, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll play a little bit of music from... we're going to be featuring 3 of your albums. One of them is A Place in the Country. The other one is Down Memory Lane. And the other one that I've got here is Old Loves and Country Memories. So we're going to be spinning a few tracks off them to give people an idea of how you sound. Anyway, what we'll do is we're going to play from the album Down Memory Lane, probably my all-time favourite Gene Stewart track, which is Sing the Blues to Daddy. And then we're going to come back and talk about the Homesteaders after this.
Okay, John.
That's my special guest on this Monday night's edition of the Irish Connection from his album Down Memory Lane. That's Come On Home and Sing the Blues to Daddy from Gene Stuart. And we're back talking with Gene in a few minutes after these words.
CMR.
The Irish Connection with me, Sean Green, happening for you on this Monday evening. And we're talking to Gene Stuart. We're back talking to Gene after hearing a little piece of music from him. Now, when you were with the Mighty Avens, how long was that actually for?
That was, I joined the Mighty Avens in 1869, Sean, and then about 73 I developed TB, and I spent a couple of months in hospital. Then I was actually 6 months off the road, and I came back then sometime after that and started again. But during that time the Mighty Avens decided to go their own way. They had several different businesses and things like that, so they decided perhaps that was the time to do their own thing.
And then when you came back, was that the time that you went then with the Homesteaders, was it?
Shortly after that then I formed the Homesteaders.
And I mean, of course, they were around for quite a while as well.
We were together for up until about 3 years ago, Sean.
Yeah, and how many was actually in that band?
That was a 7-piece band initially, and then it finished up a 6-piece band where, you know, they could double up on instruments then with modern technology and what have you, so it was down to a 6-piece.
And you've always been into sort of country stuff, have you?
Oh, very much. I've always been into country, very much the old-fashioned, well, not old-fashioned country, I suppose the true blue country. Into the trad country, the days of Jim Reeves, Farron Young, Merle Haggard, that type of stuff. So I had Brian Chalker's kind of stuff. Yeah,
because I mean, of course, like I'm not. You know, when the Homesteaders were out, didn't they used to wear the blue suits?
Well, we had, I suppose, several different suits. So it was blue suits and white suits and all kinds of suits. They look a bit dated now.
Yeah, I can remember. Yes, you talk about the white suits. I can remember seeing one at the Galtymore in a white suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, of course, back in those days, I mean, all the bands like the Freshmen, the New Men, all of them were all wearing white suits, weren't they?
That's right. The suits were probably more expensive than the equipment.
Than the equipment of the band. But I mean, like the thing is, the Homesteaders had a great run, didn't they?
We had a great run. We had lasted for many years. We were probably considered one of the top bands here in Ireland for many, many years.
That's right. And I mean, you did great business over here as well, didn't you?
In England and Scotland, all over. You had a great run.
I mean, who can you give us a name check, shall I say, on some of the guys that used to be in the Homesteaders?
Well, probably with the main man in the Homesteaders, a guy called Pat Hamley from County Derry, now lives in County Cavan. We had Billy Mullen from Strabane, he was the drummer. Tony Cannon, a saxophone player who now plays with Dominic Kerwin. Pat Casey, a fiddle player. Gosh, you put me in a spot now, Sean.
Yeah.
That was sort of the main guys anyway.
Yeah.
One or two would have perhaps changed over the years. But those guys stayed the pace for all the duration of the Homesteaders.
And I mean, you used to be out on the road, what was it, 5-6 nights a week?
Oh, we were out at least 4 nights a week, 4 to 6. During the summertime, you'd be doing six nights a week for maybe 3 months steady. Hence the reason probably during the Mighty Avens days, that's what happened. I finished up in hospital, you know, coming from a day job into 6 nights a week.
I know, because I mean, like a lot of the times, back in those days, of course, the guys used to always work during the day as well as work at night, didn't they?
Well, no. Whenever we started touring professional, that was the end of the day job. You know, I hooded brick in Birmingham for many years, and I think it was a lot easier than the band business, but perhaps not as rewarding.
I know. I mean, have you ever thought of going into, because I mean, the amount of stuff that you've recorded over the years, how many albums, can you remember how many albums you've actually recorded?
I'm not quite sure. There's probably about 20 or 25 albums on the market between compilations and things like that, but I suppose I've recorded maybe 15, you know, full albums.
And I mean, have you ever thought of going into the songwriting side of things?
I wrote one song in my life, and I wrote it after my dinner one day. I don't know where I got the inspiration from. It lasted about 6 or 7 minutes, and it's only my only contribution to songwriting. I think I'll stick to the singing.
Yeah. I mean, like, over the years, of course, like, you've worked, as I said, all over that. You've worked in England, you've worked in Ireland, you've worked with a lot of the American country stars. I mean, out of all of those that you've worked with, is there anyone that's really stuck out in your mind that you thought, yeah, is a really sort of superb actual artist?
In America?
Yeah.
My all-time probably favourite singer would be Jim Reeves, but I think the greatest singer in the world, probably, I mean this bar none, is Merle Haggard. I think he's probably the best singer in the world. I have 2 singers who I consider the best in the world, Merle Haggard and Nat King Cole. Though Nat King Cole's not a country singer, but I put Merle Haggard and Nat King Cole on a par. Right,
we're going to have a little bit more music. This time a track from one of your other albums. I said, Oh Loves and Country Memories, and the track that you picked, which is an old love turned memory. This is my special guest on this Monday night's edition of the Irish Connection. This is Gene Stuart.
I called her today an accidental mistake, and her name slipped out to some friend. Forgotten old feelings are brand new today. 'Cause I'm right back where I've always been. For she's just an old love turned memory. Now I seldom see her around. She's just an old love turned memory. But she still turns my world upside down. I went to some places where I knew she'd be, just to prove our love was over and done. But the moment her eyes touched mine, I knew my
And I mean, do you do you do much performing nowadays?
Do I like it?
No, do you do much performing nowadays?
I work about 3 nights for about a month and then take a couple of weeks off. I don't work as much as I used to because I've now teamed up with John Glenn, who I'm sure you know, and Sally
Yes.
O'Brien.
Oh, yes, yes.
And the three of us are in a band called the Country Roundup Band.
Yes, I've heard about that because you actually have got an album out, but it's only available on cassette, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And I mean, how did that actually get together? Because I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I'd almost forgotten about that until you reminded me there a few
Right,
minutes.
well, I was off the road there for about 2 years. I had sort of semi-quit the... Well, I hadn't retired from the business because, you know, in this business you never get away from it.
No, that's right.
And I had took a bit of time out to sort of look after the flowers, as the man says.
Yeah.
And then Tony Lockman, who was a brainchild behind this, approached me and asked me if I would be interested in joining up with Sally and John and going out a few nights. So I said, sure. So they go out with the band on at their own thing, and Sally goes out a few nights with the band, and then we all team up together and, you know, do a couple of weeks together, and it's great fun.
Do you use the one backing band?
The one band does a lot, yeah, a fine band. And it's sort of the best of both worlds, thankfully. You know, I get a bit of time out and time off to do recording or videoing or whatever, and then I get out and meet the people again, and
That's right.
bit of fun.
Because you do with John and of course Sally as well. You do the two, don't you? You do dances and you do of course the concerts as well, don't you?
That's right, but it's basically dances.
Right.
We are basically a dance band. I much prefer people dancing in front of me.
Yeah. I mean, is there any plans to actually bring the show over to England?
I don't know. I haven't. I know once the end of August comes in, we're taking that's it over for the autumn. We start back at Christmas again. And offhand, we probably will be going over there. I'd love to go over there, but now I haven't heard any talk about it, John.
Yeah, because Sally was over here a while ago with, supporting Sean Wilson on that.
That's right. Sally goes over quite often, and John Glenn, in fact, too. In fact, we just completed the video there with John Glenn, myself, T.R. Dallas, and Hugo Duncan and Noel Cassidy. It's a sort of a compilation video and cassette. So that should be out now.
That sounds quite good. What was that for? That was just a one-off thing, was it?
Just a one-off thing. Bit of crack gets us together, and we can have a pint in between times.
Yeah, because of course we had Hugo. Well, I mean, most of the guys that you've had on there. I mean, Hugo Duncan we've had on here.
That's right, yeah.
Joanne, I mean, like he was very good. I mean, we enjoyed having him on the shows. And T.R. Dallas we've had on here as well. You see.
Right, great guys.
And I mean, like Noel Cassidy's just got his new album, which has just been released as well.
That's right, yeah. Well, they're all a bag of fun.
I mean, and you enjoy it, yeah?
I do. I love it. Yeah, look at it. It's not like what it used to be old days. Now it's great to meet up with the boys again.
Yeah, and I mean, it's more of a bit of fun now rather than have to really, like before you had to really concentrate, didn't you?
That's it. And now and again I team up with the Mighty Avens. We do about 3 or 4 charity functions once a year. You know, 3 or 4 things. You know, one night things in a year. And it's great fun meeting up with the boys again because, you know, apart from them being colleagues in the band of years back, we're all very good friends. We love meeting up again.
Okay, right, we're going to have a track this time from your album, A Place in the Country, and this is the one that you asked me to play for you. This is the Oklahoma Twister.
I could see it in your eyes when he blew in from Tulsa with his guitar on his shoulder. I knew I was losing you, and there was He's the kind that won't remember when it's time to move along. Like an Oklahoma twister, he's a take advantage drifter. When he gets what he came after, you're gonna wake up all alone. Long before he came around, we had it all together. Didn't count on stormy weather. I thought I could count on you. Ain't there something I can do to make you see the danger of that guitar picking stranger before he gets you down? Like an Oklahoma twister, he's got you twisted round his finger. He's the kind that won't remember when it's time to move along. Like an Oklahoma twister, he's a take advantage drifter. When he gets what he came after, you're gonna wake up all alone.
That's my special guest on this Monday night's edition of the Irish Connection, Gene Stuart, from his album A Place in the Country, and all about that Oklahoma twister.
This is Country Music Radio.
And you're back with the Irish Connection with the time at just after 11 o'clock on this Monday night with my special guest, Gene Stuart. Now, we talked about what you've been doing in the past. What's going to be happening for you in the future, Gene?
Well, I suppose my future is my past. I've sort of kind of done it all, Sean, and I'll still tiddle along in the business, as they say, in this part of the country. Hopefully still record a bit and make a few videos and keep in touch with the business in an easier way.
Because
not break as much sweat.
Yeah, because I mean, at the moment you have just finished recording the video, haven't you?
Well, I'm halfway through it. I have the actual audio part of it recorded. That's finished, and I'm halfway through the video now, depending on this Irish weather here.
Yeah, I mean, we're what sort of locations are you sort of recording it at?
Well, we try and keep to, highlight our Irish scenery here as much as possible. Different mountains of Mourne, and from Kerry to Donegal, wherever.
And what sort of stuff can we expect on it?
Basically, the same Gene Stewart stuff as always. I don't vary an awful lot from album to album. It'll be sort of trad country as per always. A lot of oldies, a lot of unheard stuff, a lot of stuff that, hasn't been sort of hashed out. Roy Acuff, things like that. A couple of originals.
I mean, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's all about original. Do you get much stuff sent to you by sort of local songwriters and stuff?
You do all the time. You have all these cassettes coming in. Some of it, unfortunately, is just not up to standard. Some of it's very good, maybe a bit progressive for me, and some of it's just okay, and that's the one you go for.
And I mean, what do you think generally the state of country music in Ireland is at the moment?
Well, country music is very healthy. I think the emergence probably of Daniel O'Donnell a few years back, it was probably in decline at that stage. The music business in general was taking a bit of a harm then, but Daniel came and sort of revived the situation. You have new guys like Declan Nerney and Mick Flavin and John Hogan, and they've revitalised the whole situation, and it's pretty healthy again. I
mean, and of course you've got Joe Murray, who's up
Joe Murray, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, he's doing that sort of new country stuff, which is very good, actually.
That's right. These young guys, yeah, they're all good.
I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. We had Joe on the show, and of course you got Joe Moore as well.
That's right, yeah. Joe's sort of kind of a neighbour of mine here. He lives in the north here.
Yeah,
one of these modern country, fine singer.
We had him, yeah, and he's got a fine album out, and he's got a new single out as well, which we've been plugging here like hell out of the actual thing. But then again, like, we've also got the good stuff which is coming through, like guys like Billy McFarland who've been around for years that are still turning out absolutely brilliant stuff,
Well, you see, Billy, he's like wine. He gets better with age.
I know.
Real character.
I mean, just like your mate John Greer. I mean,
that's right.
His album.
John's one of the greats. He's a true blue country singer.
I know, and I mean his new album is actually one of it. And of course, Dirk Mahaffey as well.
That's right, yeah.
Who's got a pedigree just like yourself, who was back with Dirk and the Sounds, and now he's out doing his own solo stuff. And I mean, it's come well for him, hasn't it?
Well, the old timers, they might have split back a division or two, but we're still hanging in there.
I know. I mean, do you ever do you regret not being like as busy as you were back in the olden days? You know, like Big Tom is still doing 4, 5, 6 nights a week. Do you regret not doing that yourself?
No, I don't regret it. No, the old bones wouldn't have... It's amazing that after I took a couple of years off there, getting back into it's a bit of a slow process. And I'm quite happy with doing, the 4 or 5 nights or for a couple of 3 weeks and then taking time out.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy that.
I mean, will the new video be transferred onto a CD as well, do you think?
That's right. It should be out on CD and cassette and video, of course.
I mean, what will that be done through your brother's labour, will it?
That's right, through Sharp.
Yeah, which is good, anyway, because, I mean, I know I've got loads, well, I mean, over the years, they've sent me loads of stuff, and, I mean, all the stuff is absolutely brilliant. Listen, Gene, thanks a lot for spending the last half hour or so with us here on CMR.
You're very welcome, Sean. Thanks to you, too.
Totally enjoyed it. I mean, it's been an absolute gas. We remember all those things about the homesteaders, and, of course, like, with the Mighty Evans is brilliant. I mean, like, the thing, because you get, I mean, I love interviewing everybody, and, I mean, like, I can say this with my hand on my heart, and, I mean, I love talking to the new guys, but it's great to speak to some of the guys that I remember going to see years ago with the bands, and because I mean, you always wonder, well, like you see them up there on the stage and you're looking at them, and you never think that one day you'd be talking to them, which is, like I seen you, as I said, when I remember seeing you at the Irish Festival in Roundwood Park with the Homesteaders.
That's right.
I remember seeing you with the Mighty Avens down at the Galtymore,
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just a gas, because I mean, I remember, I mean, like I said, I remember people that used to absolutely go mad about the Homesteaders. I mean, there's people I know that used to follow the Homesteaders everywhere in England. No matter if you went to if you went to Land's End and then went to John O'Groats the next night, I know people that would have followed you, because
they were good old days.
They just love the band so much. Listen, the best of luck to whatever you do in the future.
And you, Sean, and thanks very much for having me on.
And I hope that with a bit of luck, you let me have a copy of your new CD when it gets. And I mean, hopefully, I mean, I don't know if Tony Lockman, I mean, if you could get the other cassette that is actually out of the three of you with Sally O'Brien and, of course, yourself.
Oh, it's actually on CD, that now.
It's actually on
CD?
It's on
CD, so I'll have that sent on to you, Sean.
Would you get me one? Because
Yes,
I'd love to play it to the people, because I've been I told them about it when it first came out, because I remember reading about it in one of the Irish papers.
Yeah.
And I absolutely, as I said, I was thrilled to see the three of you all on one stage, and I thought, what a great lineup for, three for the price of one,
That's right, yeah.
Which makes it. Listen, anyway, I won't hold you up anymore. Thanks
No
a million
problem.
for your thing.
Tell Brian Charker I particularly love his program.
I know, but I
My
mean,
type of stuff.
I think everybody loves Brian's program. I think they feel sorry for him more than anything else. I mean, because I mean, like, you want to hear him. I mean, it takes him about 3/4 of an hour to get out here because of the Zimmer frame. You see, I mean, it's very hard to get it through the door. But once we get the old shackle round his waist and pull him, he's all right.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
Listen, I'll speak to you again very soon, Ian. We're going to go out tonight with another track off your Down Memory Lane album, which is A Tombstone Every Mile. And with this, I'd like to once again say a big, big thank you to Gene Stuart, and good luck to you in the future.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye,
Thank
Gene.
you.
Oh, you big and burly men who roll the crooks along, better listen, you'll be thankful when you hear my song. You have really got it made if you're hauling goods any place on earth but those Haynesville woods. It's a stretch of road up north of Maine that
nice special guest who was here with us for the last half hour or so. That's Gene Stewart and A Tombstone Every Mile. And if you'd like to win some Gene Stewart CDs, what I want to know is very, very simple. Tell me the two bands that Gene Stewart used to be with. He mentioned it in the actual interview. There was two bands that he's been with. One of them was the first band he was with, had a two-syllable name, and the second one was another band. So if you know the two bands that Gene Stewart was with, drop them down a postcard, a sealed down envelope or a letter and send it to me, Sean Green, at the Irish Connection here at CMR, P.O. Box 42, Alton Hants, GU34 4YU. And you're going to have a couple of weeks to get it to me because I won't be here next Monday, so you've got 2 weeks to get it to me. Just tell me the two bands that Gene Stewart has been with over his life, okay, over his musical life. And if you get the right answer and you're the first ones out of the bag, I'll send you some Gene Stewart CDs and that, okay?